you can't be risk averse or have this scarcity mindset. You have to like think of this mindset of abundance. And if you just work hard, have drive, and really kind of like find people who align with your goals, I think that's the biggest thing you can probably do. Just leave the naysayers behind. There's always going to be those people who just think you can't do it. Don't have that scarcity mindset of like, and put your own you as a hurdle in front of yourself. Create a goal, no matter if it's big or not, right? Even if it looks too big. Monetization on YouTube is always a good goal, right? To kind of make money on people watching your videos, but really it's a goal of just kind of creating content that people want to see so when they search Alaska, when they search real estate people in Alaska or anything about Alaska, our stuff populates first, right? YouTube being, second to Google as far as search platforms, right? We want to own kind of both spaces through GMB and YouTube. And so that way, when somebody populates anything, we're first.
Welcome to the Top Real Estate Influencers podcast with your host, Mario Hurley, and myself, Alex Montalenti. Today, we have the pleasure of interviewing Justin Milette. Justin is up in Alaska. He's with Real Broker, right?
Yep, Real Broker.
Awesome. And what's the name of your specific brand within Real Broker?
So Aspire Realty Group is our team here in Anchorage, Alaska.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to get into it today. Today, we're going to uncover, what is Real Broker? We're going to uncover what it's like to be living in Alaska, because I've never actually been to Alaska. I'm curious more about that. I had a friend once that moved to Alaska, and he was a real woodsy guy. Loved to go on what's it called? Snowmobiles. But one day he actually went off the road with his snowmobile, and for 3 days he lived off of the snowmobile, like just with the things that he had on him, and he survived. And it was like freezing cold in the snow. Crazy survival story.
That happens more often than you think, especially up here. So, yeah. But I'm glad he survived and made it, man. That's a cool story. So
yeah, we're over here thriving with our businesses, but we were just talking about how, sometimes as business owners, we got to cry a little too. It isn't all unicorns and roses, but we're excited to get into it with you today. So let's kick it off.
Love it, man.
Yeah, welcome, Justin, to this conversation. Now, this is going to reach, nationwide agents, perhaps some even agents in the world, as we're happy to see our podcast is growing. We're distributed in multiple formats and multiple platforms. So here's your opportunity. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, why you got into real estate? Here you are in Alaska. We met you at a really cool event. And I saw your team. I do recall you guys were walking around with your camera crew and your team. You guys had so much energy. So tell us about you and real estate. What are you up to lately?
Yeah, man. I mean, I've only been in real estate for 5 years. Before that, I spent 15 years in public safety doing fire and EMS service here in Anchorage. Just kind of got pushed into the sales side. I've always been, on the investor end of things, and decided to try the sales side. And, coming from the public service world, never had to really do any sales training, stuff like that. Cause people just call you, right? So 5 years ago, got my real estate license, started the whole sales process, ended up learning pretty early on that I was decent at it. I just think that, 15 years of public safety helped with kind of like that really, kind of that personality traits of just, being super authentic and, coming from that point of, empathy and compassion about just, and having like a really good drive and passion about just people. Right. And so I brought that into my real estate sales and service. And then a few years ago, just lower two, we started a team called Aspire Realty Group. We're at almost 15 agents now. We're easily one of the top real estate teams here in Anchorage now, and just a little over 2 years. So yeah, man, I have huge goals. And so it's just been riding this wave. So
I love to hear the fact that you have huge goals. That's one of the things that we emphasize with our teams and with our presentations, making sure you know where you're headed and making sure you have whatever you need along the way. So
Yep.
share with us, if you don't mind, a little bit about your goal.
Yeah. So, I mean, our goal is 25 agents by end of the year. Our multi-year goal, so is 100 agents. We want to be in multiple states, already working on broker licenses in another state. So, looking to expand, hit that 100 agent mark inside of 3 years, the next 3. So just, pushing the envelope. Of course, we use technology. Of course, clients of Real Greater, just to kind of help propel, of course, our social media, Google My Business stuff, make sure it's all up to speed. And as we all know, everybody uses internets now. So making sure everything is aligned on the internet with your branding is super important. So
I would say the ultimate goal would be like anytime somebody is in Anchorage, or anytime somebody wants to invest in anything real estate, you would always be the first person to show up everywhere.
Right.
Google, YouTube, and you guys have a podcast.
We have a podcast called the Real Alaska Podcast, where we interview business owners around Alaska, just kind of help them tell their story of entrepreneurship and owning a business and what their business is about. Kind of allows them to also kind of promote their business. We don't charge them anything for it. We just bring them on, listen to their story, man, and then push it out. And then, of course, we have our YouTube channel as well, where we kind of promote the Alaskan lifestyle, homes around Alaska, things to do around here, the different
Tell us
cities.
about that, please. We're spoiled with too much sun every day, all the time, and beautiful beaches and beautiful bodies. Tell us about Alaska. What's life like over there?
Man, we are, most people think we're part of Canada, but, we are part of the United States. Alaska's unique, man. I mean, you go from ocean to gigantic mountains all within just a few miles, right? I mean, where I'm at is South Central Alaska. Weather's not too terribly cold. I mean, it's cold coming from, Miami area, right?
Yeah, what is too terribly cold? Like for us in the 50s is already a death.
Yeah, I mean, we get snow here, right? So,
Wow.
It'll drop down below 0 sometimes. South Central Alaska is pretty mild as far as cold temperaments go here in Alaska. So, I mean, we're typically ranging between 10 to 20 degrees in the wintertime. Now, if you go up north, it's very easy to hit minus 50, 60 below 0.
Wow.
Winters last a little bit long. We have one of the top ski resorts in the nation, just 35 minutes south of Anchorage. They had
Which one Alex likes to go skiing?
It's called Alaskan Resort in Gerwood, Alaska. They had over 800 inches of snowfall this last season.
800, insane.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you seem to be very happy in the snow. You don't seem to be bothered by it.
No, there's a lot of stuff to do. As we talked about before the podcast here, snowmobiling, right? We call it snow machining.
Okay.
But there's a lot of snowshoeing, snowboarding, skiing, a lot of outdoor activities. People winter camp and hike, and all kinds of stuff. There's glaciers to walk on, northern lights in the wintertime. A lot of stuff to do all year round. Alaska's really a good spot for people who love the outdoors, and of course, we have also world-class fishing and hunting as well. So we attract a lot of people for that as well. So.
It's beautiful. Do you guys create anything like in real estate to attract more of your market? Like why Alaska as opposed to another state?
So we do. Our YouTube channel's got some pretty cool videos on it to attract people. We, just about 7-hour drive north is a place called Fairbanks, Alaska, and Chino Hot Springs. They have one of the only ice hotel. I think there's like 2 or 3 in the world, but they have one of them, and it's an ice hotel. So it's a hotel made of ice. It sits inside by basically a gigantic freezer, which I think most people don't think is probably think it's weird being in Alaska and there's an ice hotel in a big freezer. But we do get sunlight and warm weather here. So I mean, right, these last week it's been over 70 degrees here, so in sunshine. But we do quite a few videos on life in Alaska and like things to see and do and stuff like that. And there is a ton of stuff to do here. And of course, a state that is 2.5 times the size of Texas only has a population of less than 700,000 people. So,
Yeah. How many realtors do you have?
I think statewide we have less than 2,000 agents statewide.
Yeah. So like, I was just thinking about your goal, having a goal of 100 agents when there's a total population of 2,000. That's like a really monstrous goal. It's awesome.
Hey man, it's go big or go home, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at pictures of Anchorage because I wanted to see what it's like. It's a really beautiful city. I mean, so you got a giant lake, kind of like Lake Champlain in Vermont is what it reminds me of. And then, but then you got these beautiful mountains right there in the background.
Yeah, so we're actually located right on the ocean. It's an inlet, and then so we have like the main port for Alaska, and then also the main airplane, international hub for air travel. And then of course Anchorage itself is actually one of the top cargo hubs in the world. During parts of COVID, Anchorage was actually #1 cargo hub in the world.
Okay.
The reason being is because we basically all of the air freight that comes from Asia and that side of the world has to come through Anchorage for refueling. And so FedEx, UPS, Amazon, they all fly into here and have major hubs here in Anchorage. So, and then of course, a lot of the Asian cargo airliners all fly into Anchorage. And so we have I think it was like over 80% of our air traffic is actually cargo.
And the mountain that's in the background, what's the name of that mountain?
That's called, well, there's a few ranges back in there, but the main one is the Chugach Range.
Okay.
Chugach Range.
Yeah. So most of those mountains right there are, between like 3,000 and 5,000 foot elevation.
Nice.
But then you go a few hours north, and you will hit Denali, formerly Mount McKinley, and that is the tallest peak in North America.
There we go. All right. So thank you so much for your educating us a little bit about Alaska. We haven't been there yet, but there is definitely a huge attraction to it, being the kind of environment that you get to have and the kind of people. So tell us about your philosophy. One of the biggest things that we have found with entrepreneurs growing their business, whether they have been doing this for 5 years like yourself or 20 or 30, they always talk about having a strong mindset about what's going to allow them to reach the next level. So what would you say you implement in your team?
We have this, because we interview a lot of entrepreneurs on our podcast, right?
Yeah.
And really it's you can't be risk averse, or have this scarcity mindset, right? You have to like think of this, this mindset of abundance. And if you just work hard, have drive, and really kind of like find people who align with your goals, I think that's the biggest thing you can probably do, right? Just leave the naysayers behind. There's always going to be those people who just think you can't do it. Don't have that scarcity mindset of like, and put your own you as a hurdle in front of yourself, right? Just create a goal, no matter if it's big or not, right? Even if it looks too big. I mean, look at Elon Musk, right? I mean, the guy, has created so much in the last decade, right? I'm sure a lot of people told him he would never be able to accomplish any of that. So that's kind of what we tell a lot of our agents, that's kind of what I drive myself with is trying to be the first to a lot of things, push myself beyond what is comfortable. I stay out of my comfort zone a lot of the time. Sometimes I get a little nervous. I'm like, oh man, is this one going to make me sink or is it going to make me swim? Right. But, it's I just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, man. I push that envelope every single day. We do a lot of video work, which is how we met, right? Our YouTube channel and all that stuff. So we push the envelope of video here in Anchorage, and it's to the point where a lot of agents are like, okay, what's Justin and his team going to do next, right? Like, oh God, like what do they publish this time, right? So we like
So
to do
share
a
with
lot of
us,
fun.
if you wouldn't mind sharing with us like a little bit more in detail, like what is some of the stuff you guys came up with to do on video? Because that is one of the things that we invite our agents to say, you got to do video. Video gets more eyes, more engagement than you writing a blog post or posting a cool
Yes.
picture in your Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we started last year doing a bunch of video engagement on like neighborhood tours, but making the videos really kind of funny and engaging. I did one where I was on a paddleboard in a suit and then fell into a lake.
Whoa. Okay.
So we have another one coming up. We're doing a listing shoot with a helicopter. We're landing in the yard with a helicopter. That's coming up here pretty soon. So, we're kind of taking that Top Gun theme and pushing it into a listing video, into one of our hangar home listings. So, just stuff like that. I add my kid into some things. One of our first really cool like neighborhood video that we did. In the first 48 hours, I ended up with, like 7,000 views, over 100 comments, and I think like 35 shares.
Wow, it's beautiful.
All organic, right? So, I was like, dude, that organic growth in the first 48 hours was more than like most of my paid advertising for 30, 60 days.
Yes, for sure. And was this on what platform?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I was just on Facebook. So that wasn't anything else.
Are you guys on TikTok?
I am on TikTok. We're just not we don't push as much of our team stuff on the TikTok. We need to do more of that. But we have the YouTube video as well that got pretty decent views on YouTube. Our stuff about Alaska, like the Northern Lights, the Chena Hot Springs stuff with the ice hotel, all that stuff is 15,000 views, stuff like that. People just love seeing parts about Alaska. We're going to be doing more on about moving to Alaska and kind of what to expect, because Alaska is kind of like this great unknown. People just don't know what to expect when they get here. They just have no idea. Our summers are 80 degrees. Our lakes can get up to 70 degrees because we have constant sunlight in the summertime, right? It's like our sun sets at like 12:30.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
So
number one, you're doing videos that are more unique, and you are definitely pushing the envelope. That's number one. I'm assuming you guys do it consistently. You have already scheduled. Okay, cool. So the next question is, do you have is your goal to monetize? Is your goal to attract the right team? What is like the overall goal with all the video production?
Monetization on YouTube is always a good goal, right? To kind of make money on people watching your videos, but really it's a goal of just kind of creating content that people want to see so when they search Alaska, when they search, real estate people in Alaska or anything about Alaska, our stuff populates first, right? So, we become the education brokers of our area, right?
There you go.
YouTube being, second to Google as far as search, search platforms, right? We want to own kind of both spaces through GMB and YouTube. And so that way, when somebody populates anything, we're first.
Absolutely. That's probably why we thought of using TikTok. I don't know if you've heard the statistics lately on TikTok.
It's impressive. Yeah. TikTok's crazy. And we actually had this conversation last week about, just shooting more in office content as like agent attraction stuff, but on top of it, just to create a little like back, kind of like hype and do more actual be more consistent in the TikTok platform than we have been, just because we're looking at analytics, and some of my agents are a little bit, bigger into that space than I am, on their
Okay.
personal stuff. But as a company, we need to do a better job at that. We were actually just talking about that last week. Yeah. So
I mean, anything that went viral for you on other platforms like Facebook, just reposting that stuff on TikTok is going to go viral for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, repurposing the content you've already had that already worked is easy. You don't even have to come up with good ideas anymore because you already did it. You know that it worked.
Right.
All you got to do is reformat it. That would be fantastic.
Yeah. Just create a bunch of shorts off of that, 10-minute video. And
have you ever done videos saying, come live in Alaska, why you should move to Alaska?
That's on our list. So we've got a shot list this summer. It's a little hard. It's a little more challenging to shoot things in the wintertime because it's freezing outside, right? And you just get cold standing there. So everybody's bundled up, So we try to do a lot of our shooting in the summertime just because your camera equipment's not freezing. You can put things down. People aren't freezing. They have to go in and warm up, and they come out and shoot something and then go back in, right? Of course, our winter stuff, we're going to have to just shoot in the winter time, right? So if we have anything that's involving snowboarding or skiing or snow machine or whatever, then we'll obviously have to do that in the winter. But a lot of our neighborhood shoots are like exploring Alaska stuff is going to be definitely more done in the summer months. So we've got a shot list already, kind of like scheduled shot list of stuff we're going to be doing. So, yeah. So
that would be
kind of keep them up.
I think that's a very unique take because it's already pretty common when agents and brokerages are highlighting beautiful beach homes, beautiful condos with an amazing view of the city. And yeah, we get it. But tell me about Alaska. That's unique. I mean, as far as I know, everyone in my life, Alaska for them is this big deal that they hope to do before they die, But here, what if you said it's actually not that hard? It's not that bad. Why wait until you're old and dead? Or, this is exciting. And what I also hear is the mindset of the folks there. I don't know because of the weather, but you tend to be more of a go-getter. You tend to be more of looking always at the positive side of things. You tend to have bigger goals because you're already dealing with this weather that's not the same as everywhere else.
It's Alaska. You have to be, we're removed from most of the United States, right? So, I mean, if I have to drive to, Washington, it's going to take me 4 days, to drive through Canada to get to Washington State, right? Or a 3.5 hour flight minimum, right? Yeah. So, I mean, that's like the closest, that's the closest form of travel to get to the rest of the United States. So we're pretty well removed as far as, getting to anywhere. So, Alaskans in general are pretty reliant upon other Alaskans, or just kind of have like this hardy attitude of just being outdoors people. Wow. And, kind of self-reliant and have always kind of been like that. Right. They call it the last frontier for a reason. Alaska is also a very young state. So, and it's also kind of like a very, mineral rich state as well, right? Like oil is our biggest, resource here for as far as, funding just about almost everything here. So, it's a wealthy state, it's a young state. People here are very much about just Alaska, right? And about Alaskans. They really promote Alaska-based business. If you call from a non-local number, they probably won't pick up the phone. So, that's sometimes a hurdle for our virtual assistants or whatever, is if they don't have a 907 number or Alaskan-based number, they have a hard time getting through to people. So, but
okay, look at that.
Yeah, just a different place, man.
Yes, it's more than just that. It's almost like you said, the way you described it, we're removed from. So, okay, so let's talk more about what are your biggest challenges. What are the things that keep on showing up as an issue or as an opportunity, however you want to call it, that you guys want to tackle on, in the next 6 months to a couple of years?
Alaska, because we are just separated from a lot of the rest of the United States, right? We're also not pushed to obviously like be as, we don't have to be as competitive as the rest of the United States because we are kind of like in our own little bubble, right?
Yep.
So just everything here is a little behind, which is why I found the video space was, and kind of like if I was really good at marketing and then started doing this video space, I was like, man, I could really kind of take off and control a decent section of this market because, as we all know, if there's not a lot of competition and everything, people just kind of get complacent.
Gotcha.
And there's definitely a lot of complacency in this market in all business sectors, not just real estate. And it's just because there's a lot of like old business here and not a lot of competition has been driving new technology, new forms of media, et cetera. And so everybody's been doing the same thing for a very long time. And so, for us, it's just trying to, push the envelope further, right? On, what people are going to enjoy and like. People are very traditional and kind of old school here. So you want to push that envelope, but you also don't want to like push it so far that all of a sudden people are like, man, that was weird,
Sure. Yeah.
So it's like this fine balance, so like trying to figure where we can push it, like I said, we want to be first in a lot of things, but at the same time, it's like, we get into a space and all of a sudden we're like, okay, that didn't work out. Like no one's interested in that, right? So kind of like dialing in, like where we want to push things and what's going to generate the most, time for, dollars for time, right? Where to put that time in, that's going to generate you the most revenue. Is really kind of we're fine tuning it because we are kind of pioneering a lot of this new media stuff, and so we're spending money in different sections trying to figure out what's going to hit. And so that's really our biggest challenge right now.
Yeah, brilliant. Do you ever have guests, some of your business owners, when you tell them, well, have you considered tripling or quadrupling your business? And they say, no, it's fine how it is. I'm happy. We've been this way for the last 10 years. Why grow any further?
I mean, they all want to grow, right? It's just, we also have a limited population. So, it's getting people to, we in a lot of sectors, finding business professionals that are at a high level can be challenging for us here. People want to visit Alaska. Not a lot of people want to live here, right?
Yeah.
Which is why the state's only at 700,000 people, right?
Yes.
When it can be challenging for a lot of people, it gets really dark. And so people either love it or they hate it. It's a love-hate relationship here. It's sunlight all summer. Winter it gets really dark and challenging, right? We go down, I think, on our winter solstice, which is in December, we get down in like 3 hours of daylight, which is, super low. So, if you work nights or whatever, you wake up and go to sleep and it's dark for like 3 months, right?
You should come back. You should come back to our podcast on one of those dark days. We can bring some hope.
I know. You're just gonna put the beach on. It's common for Alaskans to travel. So in the wintertime, right? Hawaii, is a direct flight for us. Alaska Airlines does a really good job marketing that. It's a 5.5, 6 hour direct flight from Anchorage to Honolulu, Maui, Kauai. So it's you go to Hawaii in the wintertime and you end up running into all your neighbors.
Do you go to Hawaii regularly or do you stay?
Well, the last few years, not so much, but typically 1 to 2 times a year. Just because it's such a close flight. So
amazing.
Yeah, you're gonna crush it with all the video stuff because I could just see it popping off and being so unique and different in Anchorage. Like it sounds like there's a lot of traditional business owners, people that have been around for a while, but you're coming with like a whole new way of doing business, a whole new marketing efforts that are outrageous, really pushing the envelope. I mean, I just had some ideas, but it's like, have you ever done ice sculpture open house signs?
That'd be really cool. That's a good idea, actually. Just finding someone to do that might be a challenge.
Yeah, you get him to do it for free because he'd be like, oh, that's the guy that does our ice sculpture open house signs. Every time we get a new listing, here's the ice sculpture.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Get all creative with it.
Yeah, yeah. Or like a snowman.
I love ice sculptures. I used to do ice sculptures for like my birthday parties. The only problem was when I would do them, they would melt so quick.
Right.
But in your case, they could probably stay up for months.
Yes. Yeah.
Not that you want
they actually had a snow maze this winter during at our state fairgrounds.
There you go.
Wow.
So
you like your logo etched into ice sculptures, into like snow mazes and stuff like that.
yeah, I don't know if anybody does that in town. I'll have to take a look, actually. I'm like, this is one of the Alaska challenges, right? Is finding people that do all this. So some of this very unique stuff, I'm like, I don't know if anybody does that. We do, of course, have like, they do have like ice sculpture things that go on here, and they have they cut out big old sections of ice out of some of the lakes here. And then they could bring in like world renowned, ice carvers from around the world that come in for a few weeks and carve all these things, but then they fly off. So finding someone that like lives here and does that locally might be a hurdle, but it's a great idea. I'm going to definitely take a look into that.
Worth a video at least.
Heck yeah. Yeah. Hey man, if I can put it on camera, I'm down. So
tell me, you had an option to bring like, probably a variety of different brands to Anchorage as your main brand, and you chose Real Brokers. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little more about that company. I mean, I'm familiar with a lot of the companies out there, Keller Williams, Global Banker, you name it. I know Real Brokers is an up and coming company hitting about 5,000 agents. What is it about that model? Can you give us, for those listeners out there that haven't heard of that model yet?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just kind of just hitting the scene. I was agent number 1 here in Alaska, helped launch Real Broker in Alaska. I think we're like the 22nd state to open in October of 2020. So I was at another brokerage, EXP. I'm sure people have heard of it, right? I think they're at 80,000 agents worldwide now. I spent 2.5 years there. There was a pair of executives that were at EXP and Aaron and Peter Noble, and Aaron's an Alaskan. So grew up, raised in Alaska. So she would come to a lot of the EXP events here in Alaska and Anchorage, so I met her, and then all of a sudden I just saw one day, like, they had moved over to Real Broker, and I was like, huh, these are people that, I think are like mentors of mine. And I admire them as individuals, very, very professional, talented people, and I admire them greatly. And so I just kind of sent like a little DM through the Facebook. I was like, hey man, like what just happened? I just saw you like 3 weeks ago at this EXP event. Like what is this Real Broker thing? I've never heard of it. So I jumped on a phone call. They kind of told me about it. It's a new technology cloud-based brokerage. As we all know, technology has evolved a lot in the agent space, just not so many agents have kept up with it. So now being able to be mobile and not attached to an office space if you don't have to be, is, pretty convenient. I think, the pandemic and COVID had made that very acutely obvious. And then, with really good splits, they offer revenue share, they offer the stock options, a bunch of other things that, they kind of brought with, kind of a somewhat similar model from EXP, just, of course, a little bit different, right? Every broker does things a little bit differently. So, I was at EXP before, saw the substantial growth. We were at, I think when I joined, I think it was under 1,000 agents at Real Broker. So I was like, hey, it's a great time to get on early in the ground floor of a company, open it up here in Alaska. And I was like, I definitely believed in the company, the brokerage of itself. And so jumped on, brought my team over, and now we're at like 120 or 130 agents so far for Real here in Alaska.
Nice.
About to break the 5,000 mark. Went to the NASDAQ launch for Real Broker stock. last year. That was REAX. And so that was a pretty cool event. Went Times Square. First time to New York. It's a long trip for us. So coming from one side of the continent to the other, but pretty cool, man. It's been a wild ride seeing the substantial growth. We're at almost every single state's open now, just about, and I think 2 provinces in Canada as well. So
nice.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about it?
The culture, man, is super collaborative. The culture has been absolutely unreal. I can pretty much call up any agent from across Real Broker, and I mean, they're super supportive on, the video space, TikTok, whatever. You have some pretty heavy hitters that have joined Real Broker. There's quite a few of them at the Wailopo conference. So it's been cool to see the substantial growth, and not just agent attraction being pushed, but really going after high quality teams, brokerages, and agents to come on to Real Broker. And so seeing the production with just the limited number of agents they have is substantial. It's actually very impressive. So
everybody that I met at Real Broker seems to have a strong view on video, and they're implementing a lot of video. They have YouTube channels. Like, I think there's a guy, Tim Macy.
Macy. Yep.
Yeah, just met with him.
Trying to think. You have Eric Hatch, and all those guys came over to Real, right? So yeah, there's quite a few really good video guys that really dive deep in that space and are pretty well known in that video space. And then they just teach a bunch of it on our Real Academy. And of course, quite a few of them are also coaches on Tom Ferry. And so they definitely preach it in that space as well. So
nice. And who's the founder or co-founders?
Tamir Poleg is the founder and CEO of Real Broker. Okay. And I met him in New York. He is one of the most genuine people I've ever had the privilege of meeting. It's his whole philosophy is providing a brokerage that puts the agent first and is there as not to sell real estate, but just only to provide support to the agent.
Love it.
Yeah.
What about families? Is it a big thing there for people to get married and have kids? Because I'm looking at your hat there. You're a dad, Alex. You want people to know, all right?
yeah, man. We got families.
It's June. This is our month. You always hear about I always hear about Mother's Day. I love mothers, but fathers get some credit too. So I'm going to celebrate the whole month of June, not just Father's Day, because I feel like that's a forgotten holiday.
Hey, man, it just kind of comes and goes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I actually kind of forgot there was Father's Day this month.
I've never been invited to go to the spa on Father's Day. Just putting it out there for the world.
Right.
There you go. So about the families, how much is there more like a family town environment? How is it? Do they have an issue getting people married and making kids? Because, do you guys want to grow the population?
Yeah. I mean, it's, Alaska is a very transient state. So probably over 50% of our population is constantly moving. We have a lot of military here. Mm-hmm. Alaska is one of, what do they call, a strategic location. So I think we have six military installations in Alaska. So about a quarter of our population is all military. So, we have kind of that flow of people PCSing in, people PCSing out. Of course, with the oil field as well, there's a pretty good transient population group with oil, tourism, healthcare, and then the military. So we kind of have like this ebb and flow of people. Some people come up, they end up staying. And of course, Alaskans who are born and raised always do this thing of leaving the state for some time and then always end up coming back because they're like, I kind of miss the mountains and, I don't want to be around 3 million people. So, they always tend to come back, but I did the same thing. But, a lot of stuff for families to do. Kids have a blast here. There's so much outdoor stuff to do, right? You know, kids get really into biking and hiking and skiing and snowboarding and all the outdoor activities. So it's a good spot for, you know, just keeping kids super active, which is great because, you know, if anybody ever has any kids, makes them go to bed faster. So
Yeah, nice. It's a nice family state then for families and kids.
yeah.
Excellent. Well, I would say we definitely want to hear you. We want to have you back. We want to talk about what kind of growth you get from your video production, see how it
Sure.
goes for you inside TikTok. And I would say in the future, we should collaborate, do something actually live.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
just get more connections happening and people getting more acquainted with you guys. Your mindset is amazing. You guys are definitely ahead of the curve. You guys are already doing it rather than talking about doing it. And definitely wish you continued success.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. It was great seeing you again, and it was a wonderful meeting you at the conference there. So hopefully I'll see you here in the future and look forward to being on again.
I want to go to Alaska now.
Me too.
Come on up, man.
Yeah.
We got fishing's hitting. So if you like to fish, world-class fishing.
I like to snowboard. So, I mean, I think I'd come up for the
that
snowboard
too. Yeah, I snowboard myself. So
there was an event that I got really intrigued to go to in Alaska where there's no lifts or anything. They just take snow machines up to the top.
Yep.
I don't know. You know what that event is? I think they did a Red Bull event there at some point.
There's been, I mean, they film so much stuff here, you know, Red Bull, you know, shoots like videos here all the time. Right. Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of different, you know, events that go on that in the winter and summer months, but especially with Alaskan being one of the like top resorts in the nation, they have you know, ski events and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of people that do that just almost every single day in the wintertime. They what they call ghost riding their machines. They'll ride their machine up, they'll push their machine over the edge and then ride behind it. And the machine just goes by itself.
No way.
Yeah. So, or they buddy up and take turns bringing each other up on the snow.
Yeah, that's what I'm into, that kind of extreme stuff.
Yeah, all that backcountry's fun, man.
Yeah.
So,
all right, awesome. So yeah, maybe our next encounter will be on the mountains.
Or I'll have to come to a beach. That sounds better.
Well, we're planning an event December 1st through 3rd, Real Estate Influencer Summit. So we'll send you an invite for that.
Awesome.
Get you down here for that.
Yeah, that'd be a blast.
Awesome. Thank you for being on the show.
Yeah. Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Mario.